Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise of all time. Just by simply existing in this world, there is a high chance that you have played a game with this little rat just like running around. And if you were like me growing up, you didn't just play them, you just full on like... I loved Pokemon so much as a kid that I forced my single mother who worked 3 jobs to custom stitch me a Pokemon blanket, and it still smells terrible. A lot of you guys know that I am a Fire Red kid. This was literally my first video game ever when I was 5 years old, and you know, I've kept up with modern releases, but you know, I'm not here to dunk on new Pokemon, but for me, my soul exists here. And for the past 8 years throughout this Switch generation of Pokemon games, I've just been stuck in this like cold, dark cave with no sign of an exit or a way out. But wait, hold on, do you see this? There's like a little crack of light here.
Pokemon ROM Hacks.
Look, at this point in my life, there are only like a handful of things that make my 25-year-old decaying body feel like a child again, and ROM hacks for Pokemon are at the top of that list. These are games built by people who love Pokemon just as much as like you or I do, and whether they're obsessed with the mechanics, the art style, or the overall vibe, they take that love and then turn it into entirely new games, wild spin-offs, or just genuinely smart upgrades to the classics that we all cherish. Now, 2025 has been the year for Pokemon ROM hacks. This is the best time to either get into the hobby or just come back in and start playing all of these games. We got so many good releases here. When you stack this year on top of all of the other incredible releases we've seen throughout the years in the Pokemon ROM hacking community, we are eating good. We don't have the time to play every single Pokemon ROM hack, but what we do have the time for is to go on a journey together. This is me and you, and we're gonna go back on the SSN, and we're gonna figure out why ROM hacks are so great, recommendations, where to start, and all the different beautiful categories that this community has created for some of the games that we grew up playing. And whether or not you're a veteran or a rookie, we are going to explore this thing and this ship and these islands together. But wait, I think I just heard the doorbell. Hold on, let me go get that.
Hi, sir. Packet for Grandma OS?
Okay.
Also, could you fill out a quick survey for me?
What the heck is this? Hey, Grandma.
Yeah.
Why did you order VeggieTales for the VHS?
I don't remember ordering a VHS movie. But wait, I forgot to cancel my subscription to the movie.
Do you even own a VHS player?
No.
Big thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video and keeping the CRTs on. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you manage your money and your spending habits alongside canceling subscriptions, tracking bills, and even so much more. The most important thing to me on that list is just subscriptions. Now that there's just so many subscriptions out there that you have to keep track of, it can get pretty overwhelming to even know what you're still subscribed to. What they do is go into your finances and see what's actually charging you money monthly and then display it for you so that you actually understand where things are getting charged every single month. Budgeting is so important, and it's a skill that is not taught today, and it's something you have to learn. Like, I went through my entire 4 years in high school without learning a single thing about budgeting, so it is nice to have some resources out there if you need it. If you want to actually take control of your finances and see where and why your money is leaving your account, then you can scan this QR code over here or head to the link in the description to start up for free. Huge thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video and unintentionally revealing my grandmother's spending habits. Okay, first up here on the SSN is the Why Island. Why do these games even exist? What are we actually doing here? Pokemon games are already out there. Shouldn't we just like go play those? And yes, you absolutely can. Like I said in the intro, you can buy the newest game and you could have an experience. The issue is that modern Pokemon games are built within this machine that already knows it's going to succeed or that it has to succeed. They have to ship on time, they have to scale globally, they have to appeal to everyone at once, and when a franchise becomes this massive, unfortunately the goal isn't to reinvent the wheel, but it's to keep it rolling, baby. Keep that cash coming in. We gotta make some money. ROM hacks, at least at the current moment, do not live in this world. They don't have deadlines, they don't have shareholders, they don't need to sell millions of copies to justify their existence. These games exist because someone loved Pokemon so much that they just could not leave it alone. These fan games aren't trying to replace Pokemon, but they're trying to explore it in ways that we've always wanted or just never seen. And once you feel this stark contrast between the modern games and a ROM hack, it's pretty dang addicting. ROM hacks also get to take advantage of the fact that almost everybody playing these games is not new to the world of Pokemon. You don't have to sit through 3 hours of a tutorial before you actually get to start playing these things. Obviously, some of them do have tutorials and slow starts and story exposition, but it's nice that they already can assume that you've played and experienced this beautiful world of Pokemon. All ideas are potentially valid, and you can throw whatever you want against the wall if you're developing these things, and that's why they're so fun to play, because you never know what you're going to experience. They can mix art styles, invent new regions, throw in mini games, and so much more that we might not have ever even seen in an original game. They're filling in the paths that official games couldn't afford to walk down, and there's so many different paths and categories that exist within the ROM hacking community. So let's just dive in. Next stop here on the boat is, of course, Category Island. All right, ROM hacks are spread across multiple different categories. Some of these are like official terms that I have seen throughout the community, and I don't know if I'm getting all of this right, but this is how my brain filters and sorts out all of the different types of ROM hacks that exist in the world. First up, we've got Enhancement Hacks. These are designed to take vanilla Pokemon games and just fix it. Quality of life improvements, rebalance trainers, better EXP curves, bigger Pokemon pools, physical special split for older generations, and modern mechanics stitched into the older bones of regions and games that we loved. As gaming and Pokemon itself have progressed, there's been a lot of great inventions and ideas within the series that can now get implemented back into older generations. A great example of this from 2025 is Pokemon Royal Sapphire. At its core, it's still Pokemon Sapphire. I mean, same region, same beats, same nostalgia, but everything has been modernized here to fit the system and experience a little bit better. Massive quality of life upgrades, smarter trainer battles that feel closer to gym leaders, cleaner pacing, expanded Pokemon availability, and options that let you tune the experience to how you would prefer to play. They even changed a lot of the tiling and layout of the map without drastically just throwing it all in the dumpster. So it feels new, and you've got this fresh feeling of Pokemon Sapphire, but obviously it's still got the roots of the original game. This is a really common type of ROM hack that you will see because, the core foundation is already there, and what the developers are doing is going back in and fine-tuning a couple of things. Now, in a similar subcategory here, we've got Demakes. Demakes are exactly what they sound like. They're modern Pokemon releases or newer releases that get rebuilt and redesigned to fit the older GBA or maybe GBC aesthetic and vibe. Same regions, same characters, but oftentimes it's with the GBA aesthetic, and this kind of proves in a lot of ways that the GBA aesthetic, the sprite work, is where Pokemon should have stayed. I love Demakes because on paper it seems like everything would just get worse, but no, I'm not sure if it's just my nostalgia talking, but everything feels like it fits better in these types of GBA or older generation styles. Like, you're gonna stand there and tell me that you prefer the look of this Pidgey compared to this. Like, there's just no way. This is clearly superior. An awesome example of this is Pokemon Sword and Shield Ultimate Plus, which is a full demake of Sword and Shield that kind of like got ported over to the GBA, it feels like. The wild area got reworked a little bit. Dynamax is also really cool to see in 2D, and I don't know, it just feels right, man. I think it's my nostalgia talking, but it works. All right, next up, and kind of, I guess, a subcategory of enhancement hacks again, is difficulty hacks. This is pretty self-explanatory. They're just like enhancement hacks, but with a emphasis and singular goal of making you want to stab your eyeballs out with a DS stylus. These exist so that you can suffer and persevere to flex on everybody else that you're like the greatest Pokemon trainer that ever lived because you're battling Megamind in every single area. Personally, I do not like these at all. I am a very casual, like, you know, I love Pokemon, but when I play them, I'm a very casual, like, normie. But for the right person who wants every battle to feel like the Super Bowl, this could be right up your alley. Radical Red is one of the most popular and big milestones within the ROM hacking community. A lot of people praise this game for its quality of life enhancements and features, as well as, of course, the added difficulty and AI of the trainers you're fighting. It's just brutal, and if you want the Hoenn version of this, there's also Emerald Imperium that will give you the same experience, and you know, good luck to your blood pressure. Now, instead of pain, maybe you want something that's a little bit more goofy and lighthearted and makes you feel, you know, kind of giddy again because everything's new. And if that's the case, then I'm sure you would love the category of Fakemon. Like the name suggests, this is an attempt from the developers to create their own unique and original Pokemon. Sometimes they're inspired by the original designs, and sometimes they're just so left field that it doesn't even feel like a Pokemon game anymore. Pokemon Pisces has been considered like the new peak of Fakemon games, and a lot of people really enjoyed this one. I haven't actually dabbled too much into it because Fakemon kind of are hard for me to get into. I'm a very, very strong, like, nostalgia biased person. I really love nostalgia, as you can tell by this channel. So it's hard for me to step foot in the Fakemon territory, but I do want to give Pisces a try with all of the raving reviews I've heard. I mean, the sprite work alone in these games just deserves some marveling at. This is some incredible design that we're witnessing throughout these games. And finally, in my eyes, the category that is really pushing and leading the charge here within the ROM hacking space, original region and story hacks. These are at the top of the food chain because they genuinely feel like new Pokemon games that were released for the GBA or older systems. New regions, new lore, new character, and stories that pull you back into the Pokemon universe. They're not trying to recreate something you've already played, but give you a brand new experience in a world that you're very familiar with. Pokemon Odyssey is one that is a hot topic right now, and rightly so within this space. This game truly has hit like a new milestone in so many areas because it got rid of things like, you know, gym leaders and gym badges, but still incorporates them through captains, and you've got things like a multi-layered labyrinth of a maze and an incredible story, and it still feels traditional as a Pokemon game but pushes the boundaries, man. I'd say Odyssey does venture out more from the traditional style, but if you're looking for something that's just like Pokemon and has, you know, the gym badges and the whole 9 yards here that keeps the roots of the games, then you've got the classic like Pokemon Gaia, which has been out for quite some time but is still a great playthrough. And then on top of that, everybody's been talking about this bad boy, and rightfully so, Pokemon Lazarus. A whole new remade aesthetic. You're in a region that's based off of Greece. Ah man, I'm playing through this right now. It is just, come on, man, it's amazing. Other games will lean even more into the story side of things. You've got, you know, Spirits of the Storm, where you play as like a detective and you're running around fighting people with your Pokemon, solving mysteries. It is a fun time. And that about wraps it up here for the categories. Now, as you could tell, this really expands over a wide range of styles and, you know, sprite work and design theory. You're getting a lot here within the community and within the different Pokemon ROM hacks. From all of the games that I've mentioned so far in this video alone, we've got, you know, a bunch of extra content for us to explore. I probably missed some things or maybe mislabeled something, so please let me know if I've done that in the comments below, but this is how my brain kind of organizes the different games within the community. And we're just scratching the surface here, dude. It's time to get back on the ship and move to the next island. All right, now we've arrived at the island of recommendations. As you can tell by this video already, there is a lot to unpack, a lot of things to play. Where do you even start? For a long time, the common advice that people would give is to just start at a ROM hack that's not amazing and kind of just decent, you know, well respected within the community, but not the peak of the whole space. That was because the level of quality would vary a lot between different ROM hacks that were popular. But now, after 2025 and the crazy year that we've had, we have got a lot of options now for just nothing but bangers, which is why I'm so happy to recommend the game that so many people would have considered a while back as the peak of Pokemon ROM hacks, Pokemon Unbound. This game is like the new age godfather of a lot of the ROM hacks. It really sparked a new era, I would say, within the ROM hacking community because it combined so many of the great features from a traditional classic like Pokemon Gaia and then mixed in quality of life upgrades, difficulty, and so much more from Radical Red to create this like super amazing, just I don't even know how else to describe it. Pokemon Unbound just was like that new hack within the scene that everybody was talking about for a while, and still to this day. It's got an original region, an original story. You even got like a mission log and side quest to dive into, so much Pokemon to catch and explore. And when I first played it, it did feel like a regular Pokemon game that I had just recently discovered that was just on the shelf, and somehow I forgot about it as a kid, and now I'm playing it again as an adult. I really love the OST as well here, and I've been using it throughout this video because I think that they did a fantastic job here, and rightfully so. Unbound deserves the praise and discussion around it, and I'm just so happy that we've gotten to a point now where I can recommend Unbound, and then you can go and play a bunch of other ROM hacks without feeling like, dang, it's really good, but it's nothing compared to Unbound. And now that problem doesn't really exist anymore. Now, if you're more of a traditionalist and you want something that sticks closer to what we grew up with but gives it a brand new exterior, then I am happy to recommend you Pokemon Emerald Seaglass. It's made by the same person who made Pokemon Lazarus, and this is still Emerald at its heart, but as you can tell, it is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. A full overhaul of Hoenn in the Gen 2 style graphics that's running on GBA hardware. It's got quality of life improvements as well as like a new HM system revamp and a bunch of other tweaks and little tiny details that you will enjoy to play, all while still feeling like Pokemon Emerald. It doesn't lose that identity, so if you haven't played Emerald in a long time, you're gonna have fun, my friend. Now, if you want something that's not so visually out there like Seaglass, but still want to experience a lot of nostalgia, then I know a great recommendation of Heart and Soul would serve you well. This is like a demake / remake of, Gen 1, Gen 2, or Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but it's in Gen 3 style graphics, and many people would claim this is like the Johto experience. And finally, my last suggestion for those of you who are feeling like super extra quirky and wacky, and you want something that's, kind of left field, then you're gonna love Super Mariomon. This game takes all of the characters and mobs from Mario, but squishes it into the Pokemon like aesthetic as well as format. You're literally playing here as Mario the trainer, who then uses all of the different mobs that you catch to fight against other characters within the franchise and Mario world. They've all been assigned different moves and powers that fit based on their aesthetic, and you're looking at, a Pokemon experience that's full of Mario. A unique little story here, and this is a way to scratch the nostalgic itch but still give you something completely new. All 4 of these are killer entry points. I try my best to appeal to every type of person, and at the same time, if you don't really care what lane you're stepping into, you could just like randomize these and pick any one of them, and I know you're gonna have a good time. Unbound gives you that polished new region and new story. Seaglass gives you like a nostalgic retelling with brand new aesthetics and visuals. You've got Heart and Soul that will still stay to the roots and give you a demake that is very nostalgic, just like Seaglass, but back in the original style of Gen 3. And then finally, the Mariomon is, of course, going to take you and teleport you into the Mario universe while still retaining the Pokemon side of things. This is just where I would start, but every ROM hack that I've mentioned in this video is a banger and something that you should consider checking out. With all of this put together, you've got like a pretty potent little potion to knock you out on, happiness for a little bit. Drink up, my friend. All right, final stop here on the SSN before I throw myself overboard. A lot of you are probably asking the question, how do I play these games? Where do I go to? And what do I play them on? I'm not going to teach you or show you how to get ROMs because, I don't encourage anything spooky because, However, there is one missing piece of this puzzle because the ROM hacks themselves are just half of the ingredients to the ultimate Pokemon ROM hack experience. The missing half here is a retro handheld. Pairing Pokemon ROM hacks with a modern device whose sole purpose is playing ROMs and retro games is just, dude, I'm telling you, this is it, man. This This is it. That feeling I had as a kid when I got a new Pokemon game slapped into my DS or GBA and then would just disappear for like 6 hours is recreated with this combination. It's amazing. There's two main devices that I'd recommend that are relatively affordable and will give you a really dope time. Since most ROM hacks are based on Fire Red and Emerald, the obvious choice here that I always recommend, and you've probably heard me say it 1,000 times before, is the RG34XX. It's just so hard not to talk about this thing when I recommend devices for GBA because it's the GBA. Perfect screen scaling, classic form factor with just maximum nostalgia. But if you want something that's a little bit more well-rounded and I guess more generic and less nostalgic focused, then the TrimUI Brick I think is my go-to. Like this is the entry point in my eyes to anyone trying to dabble or dance in the retro handheld scene. Build quality, ergonomics, controls, all coming in at such a affordable and reasonable price tag. It's hard to not think this is like the Pokemon ROM hack handheld. If I had to pick one that isn't just solely relying on nostalgia like the 34XX, I think this is the handheld to play on. I love both of these niches deeply, and you get that perfect like Gotenks fusion dance between the two to create the final boss of my hobbies, basically. To bring things back specifically to Pokemon ROM hacks, though, this is just such a great little corner on the internet. You can feel the dedication and love poured into these games, especially for the older generations that we all grew up with. These are passion projects built in spare time, purely for the love of Pokemon and for our enjoyment. I just want to give a big genuine thank you to anyone in this space who has worked and dedicated their precious hours to this craft for other people, like I said, to enjoy for free. I think it's also important to remind all of us that, these are not multi-billion-dollar studio releases. A lot of these come shockingly close, and some even exceed the expectation of, newer Pokemon games. But at the end of the day, these are solo developers or small teams doing this for free in their own time. So please remember that context if you dive into this hobby. My knowledge is extremely limited, so if you want someone that goes way deeper, I would highly recommend watching A-Ray. I watch his videos a lot and I share similar tastes, and he plays through most of these games like start to finish. So if there's one person within the scene that you want to, just have to check up on the newest releases every month or every even week, there's also a whole world of fan projects that I have not touched upon. I mean, there's people who are building games from the ground up, like Gamma Emerald or other crazy 3D or I guess more modern looking Pokemon games. These aren't technically ROM hacks, they're just fan games, but this is like a whole separate conversation that we can save for another video. Because what you really should be doing instead of watching these videos is opening up a ROM hack and joining me again as we experience childlike wonder once more.
Too many people to count on my hand. Now I got a debt wish said I'd expand. Forbidden the fruit, they waving the fan. They target the roots, that's robber demand.